Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Got my nice little Kanga koozie. I'm here and ready for a podcast. How about you?
You were just eating, so I figure you probably are ready.
Yeah, I was. I had to make that last minute dinner real quick. But yeah, no, thank you for
Reese's Puffs.
Oh, Reese's Puffs. You need to get some groceries. Be an adult.
I know. I gotta go tomorrow. Anywho,
welcome everyone. Thank y'all for joining us today.
Hello, everybody.
A Martinsville recap. We'll talk about how good or not it was. And first, make sure you hit the like. Hit that subscribe. It is all the way in that corner right over there. I got it down this time.
I got it right too.
Yeah, we're just pros now. But I do want to make sure that we shout out our sponsor, Kanga. So you can see I got the 12-pack cooler right there behind me. Got the code in the bottom. Let's see, I got to do it this way. Got the code in the bottom down there. Hit it up. It's in our link tree. And get over to them. Get you a cooler and save 10% by using our code. Just win-win.
Win-win.
Win-win. Siri, not talking to you right now.
Win like Kyle Larson did yesterday, baby.
Oh, goodness gracious. Of course. He wins 2 out of the last 3, and all of a sudden he's the GOAT again.
I mean, legit championship threat.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, Chase Elliott, he's already passed Ty Dillon again. So,
yeah.
He's coming after it.
Oh, Ty Dillon. Bringing up the rear.
Always bringing up the rear. But so we kind of get on into it. We got Talladega coming up, so we'll talk about that next week, Monday at 7:30. But this week will be about Martinsville. The paperclip hasn't been great lately, and I think this was just another status quo race for Martinsville. I didn't really enjoy the truck race. I started with it. I wasn't into the truck race most of that entire race, actually.
I didn't even watch the truck race because, 1, I don't really particularly care for the truck race. And 2, I heard it was late because of all the rain and it ended like in the morning or something.
Yeah, so obviously they were trying to battle about the getting in the race in time. They tried starting at 7:30. It was, I want to say, we got a good 30 minutes. 30 minutes to an hour in. I don't remember the exact timeline, and then the rain started, so they had to red flag it, and then it didn't come back until like 10 o'clock at night. So, I mean, it was very late of a race. Really not much to talk about. Heim got in front and stayed there all freaking night. He looked strong at the very beginning. I mean, I don't know how many lead changes total they ended up having in the truck race, but I know Heim got in front and basically led almost all of it. Busch was out front for a little bit. You kind of expect him to do well. Obviously, he does really well in the truck series, really well in the trucks, but just didn't have enough for him. Busch was definitely upset because they ended up having to call the race early. But, we'll see. What do you think about the wet weather package? Did you check anything out from it? I know you said you didn't watch the truck race, but did you see any of the spotlights of the wet weather package?
No, not really. I didn't even watch any highlights from it, but I did listen to Denny's podcast today. And it was interesting to hear him talk about how the tire fall off that the trucks had with the wet weather tires. They were a soft tire. There was quite a bit of passing. It sounded like it was pretty competitive while they were on the wet weather tires.
Yeah.
And then when they switched back to the dry tires, the fall off wasn't even there. So
yeah.
I think that kind of goes to show that, like Denny touched on, that these Goodyear can make a tire that's softer and not have blowouts. is what their concern is. You don't want to make a tire that looks like it's failing all the time, or else you're not going to sell tires, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Sponsor versus real life.
Yeah, they're in a box. I get it, but I think it just goes to show that we need some softer tires. I know we should probably start experimenting with that. Maybe some groove tires like F1 experimented with. Let's kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, bring some of the stock car back to race. Like NASCAR has moved farther and farther away and moving more and more towards these race single lugs, all that kind of bigger wheels, smaller tire profile. Bring it back a step. I think do some groove tires. So I agree with what you're saying, because the beginning of the race was the best part of the race. It didn't last very long before the first issues, but it was not bad. And they were talking about how much the fall off was on those rain tires. It was pretty significant.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Just, even on a dry track, let's just test it out and see, what we can get out of it. Later on, we're probably going to touch on, obviously the Cup race and the particular package that they're running in the truck or the Cup race, and of course the Snoozefest 400 that was yesterday. But I guess right now, between the trucks and the Xfinity stuff, I think that's the perfect test ground essentially to try out something different as far as tire.
Yeah, I agree with you. We got to test some things. The Snoozefest definitely showed that. I've been saying this entire time, hey, I think this short track package is good, but I feel like they need to add more horsepower and try no spoiler. We'll talk about that more as we get to that part. But I do want to touch on one more thing in truck races before we move on. Congratulations to Corey Heim, by the way, too. But Wreck-It Hocevar. Good old Wreck-It Hocevar came back out. And I don't know if you remember from last year, what was it,
IRP.
IRP, that I believe that was the track he ended up getting penalized from for race manipulation and trying to cause a caution.
Wrecking somebody.
Yeah, and he did the same exact thing. Now, he lost the back left tire, but you can tell he's going, I think it was Tanner Gray was who we got in that wreck with. It might have been Tanner or Taylor. I always get those two confused.
Tanner Gray, probably.
But they were going, Tanner definitely was using them up, bouncing off of them and the door out of the turn. But as soon as it gets to the straightaway, you see all of a sudden he just takes that swoop into the back right of Tanner Gray. And what's funny is he forgot the number one rule of stock car racing: wreck the other person, but not wreck yourself. Because he spun out and Tanner recorrected and just kept going. So it was like nothing to him. So, he got parked for 2 laps for that. And I'm glad NASCAR did that. But something's got to come here. There has to be a suspension, a heavy point, a heavy fine, something. Because you can't go last year setting all of this and doing the same thing multiple times, getting caught at once. And then this year, same exact thing happening again. I feel like NASCAR's got to crack down here.
Even if he didn't admit to doing anything there, it looked like it was pretty obvious what his intentions were. All we have to do is look back at last year, what happened to him last year, and NASCAR's already set the precedents for suspending a driver for intentionally wrecking somebody. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, Vegas last year. So obviously NASCAR needs to uphold their end of the deal here and do something about it. You're right. If this just kind of falls between the cracks, I don't know. It's just consistently inconsistent by NASCAR. It seems to be the script anymore.
Yeah, that honestly is the number one thing that we kind of see out there. But I really hope something comes from this. He's got to learn, for one thing. He's a young driver. He's got his first win. I thought once he got that first win that he was going to kind of calm down some, and he hasn't. And it's acting like he doesn't even care. So I feel like we got to figure out something for him. I think he should be suspended at least 1, possibly 2 races. That's just my honest opinion.
Yeah. Xfinity race. So that's another race I did not watch.
You didn't watch any of the racing other than Sunday?
Goodness. I didn't. I had a lot going on this weekend.
You're a terrible NASCAR fan. Fair weather fan, that's what it is. The Xfinity race, don't feel bad because I fell asleep during it. That's how crazy awesome that one was. Started out, seemed pretty good. There was actual movement. They were able to pass a little bit in Xfinity, which we all know Xfinity usually ends up being one of the most
Competitive.
competitive, yeah, when it comes to the 3 series, especially at short tracks. And it was definitely, they were able to pass a little bit, but it was a snooze fest, man. It stayed about the same almost the entire race. I want to say, let's see, stage
That's
2.
That's interesting if that's the case, because normally, like as we've talked before, that the Xfinity cars do seem to be the more competitive series. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what track they go to, but considering that it looks like it was both the Xfinity series and the Cup series this weekend that kind of put on some snooze fest of a racing. Um, is it the track? Because I don't I don't remember in past years the track putting on such horrible racing.
I don't
So
think it's the track.
I think it's the package.
I think it's the package, and I think Xfinity and trucks were so bad just because of the rain and the temperatures. I think that
Mhm.
affected it the most. But here, just to talk about how much not movement there was, stage 1, top 5: John Hunter Nemechek, Sammy Smith, Cole Custer, Sam Mayer, Riley Herbst. Stage 2, John Hunter Nemechek, Josh Berry, Cole Custer, Sammy Smith, Hemrick makes it into the top 5. And then you get to the final race: John Hunter Nemechek, Sammy Smith, Cole Custer, Josh Berry, and Brandon Jones makes it into the top 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
So
there's
it
not a
just
lot of.
goes to show that if you have clean air and aerodynamics obviously plays a factor, um, there's something going on besides just the racetrack.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I don't
For
know
sure.
what it is with the Xfinity series. Again, I can't really make an opinion here because I didn't watch the race. I didn't even watch any of the highlights of it. I was a fair weather fan this weekend. You can call me that. But I did stick it out through the Cup race. I know I texted you yesterday and said that I was about to turn that shit off and just go do something else. I know you actually did.
Yeah.
Um, you really didn't miss that much. So,
I listened
but
to
I
it.
did stick it out.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up listening to it. Before we get too much in there, I do want to say one thing. Finally, JRM finishes with Josh Berry in fourth, Brandon Jones in fifth, and Justin Allgaier in sixth. So fourth, fifth, sixth consecutively, and they didn't even wreck each other. So finally, it seems like they're getting things together over there at JRM to where they're not just wrecking each other out. And congratulations to Nemechek on the victory.
And burning it down.
And
That was
literally,
quite the impressive burnout.
that was the theme of the entire weekend, was literally burn it down,
Yeah.
because they burnt it in trucks, they burnt it in Xfinity, and I'm pretty sure Larson would have burnt it down if he could have, when it came to that long ass burnout he ended up doing.
Yeah, I think if you would have put it up against the wall like Nemechek did in the Xfinity race, he probably could have done the same thing. Because I mean, it's the culprit of it is those stupid ass mud flaps that they're running. I don't understand whether it's if the if NASCAR is not going to let these cars race in the rain, they're
Mhm.
letting them race on a wet track. But if they're not going to let them race in the rain, those mud flaps are fucking pointless.
What are the lights for at that point? Because the rain lights are for the rain, and yet they
Exactly.
have them on the trucks, but they will not let them go out there unless it's physically just stopped raining in a damp track.
Yeah.
The entire wet weather package does not make sense. The wipers I get, just because there will be spray off of the track as the cars are going around, but the mud flaps have caught on fire every single time they've been used now, because you had Zane Smith who caught his on fire whenever he did his burnout.
Dakota.
Coda. I mean, it's just I don't understand what we're doing. It doesn't make
No.
sense, especially when they're talking about trying to save money. Yet we're spending money on mud flaps that will never really get used. We're spending money on rain lights, which will never really get used. And then, okay, we got the wipers and the wet weather tires.
I mean, I can see the lights at a road course. That's a given because they can get spread out.
Yeah,
But at a short track, in particular Martinsville, I don't understand the point of them. I don't understand the point of the mud flaps because uh, NASCAR specifically said, obviously, that they're not going to race in the rain. They will race on a wet track. Their point behind this package was to cut down the amount of time it takes to dry the track. So if it takes 2 hours to dry the track with Air Titans, then they can put the wet weather tires on and get out there within an hour, hour and a half after the rain, and the
yeah.
track still be damp. So I really do not understand the point of mud flaps. They look fucking stupid on these cars.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And it's just an extra cost. They keep talking about trying to save costs, but yet they keep turning around and doing this dumb stuff. I just, I don't understand what they're saying versus what they're doing.
Yeah.
Look, I'm holding the penguin. But yeah, no. So let's move over into the cup race. That way we're both on something we watched for the most part. I did listen to the rest of it. I just really had to get yard work done, so I went out and started cutting the grass.
Fair weather fan.
Yeah, I know. Got the nice little sun tan.
You listen to it. I'll give you that. Like I said, I didn't even watch or catch any of the highlights. So
gotcha. But so we had your guy, we were talking about the race. So it's funny because we were talking about the race and you were like, I'm about to turn this off. And then Larson gets to the lead and all of a sudden you were talking about the race. I'm like, this mother, he just sat there and waited until Larson got up front. And then he was like, now I'm going to watch the race. It's going to be good now.
No, that actually wasn't the point. See, Mason could have cut the grass.
Hey, I'm training him. Trying.
No, that's not why I did that. Honestly, that race, I don't even know where to start with it because it was just a complete shit show. If you want my opinion on it, it seems like it was just a continuation from last week. 2 different tracks, 2 different surfaces. Clean air, track position was key. Yep. And we saw Ryan Preece won the pole. He won stage 1.
Mm-hmm.
No lead changes whatsoever. Nope. And same thing happened in stage 2. Whoever had the lead in stage 2 was going to hold on to it. Ross Chastain, who is arguably one of the most aggressive drivers, and probably the Trackhouse cars are not slow.
Not at all.
Not at all. Ross Chastain was 25th, 30th, that entire first stage. Mm-hmm. And hats off to his, hats off to, and he stayed on the lead lap. Logano got lapped.
That's what I'm
saying. Yeah, Logano got lapped. Yeah. But Chastain did not come in for tires on one of those pit stops. Got all that track position. And he was able to finish top 5 in stage 2.
Yep.
All that proves is that track position was 100% key to this race. And it came down to strategy more than anything and executing a race from start to finish.
Well, let's talk about this too. If we're talking about how you couldn't move, there were 3 people that got penalties. It was Preece for speeding, Bubba Wallace, and Truex.
Yes, Truex.
They all got penalties where they had to get sent to the back. By the end of stage 2, none of them were in the top 20.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, you can even throw Logano in there because Logano had to forfeit his start position. Well, he had to forfeit his start position because they had to do something to the car before the race, and it was an unapproved adjustment, so they sent him to the rear. But Logano has won at Martinsville. He's a pretty good short track racer. So the fact that he got lapped early on in that race made no headway whatsoever, track position wise. That just goes to show that this package that they're running is complete bullshit. I don't understand why NASCAR continues to throw little arrow changes here and there. We know that's not working. We know it doesn't work.
Well, it had been working a little bit. Phoenix was a much better race than it has been in a very long time. So it worked there. But
yes and no. It was a better race than what we had in the past with the next gen car. I will have to say that the fall race at Phoenix was probably a little bit better than last spring race at Phoenix. So it's gotten better. We can't count Bristol. And Richmond, I think Richmond was the same thing. Like it was just a crap race.
Richmond was better again. It was better than what we've had previously.
What up, Andrew?
What's up, brother? I think it was a better race there as well. Richmond was even better as well. But we gotta remember that we're talking about better than last year, and last year was not good. So I really do think because of higher car speeds, we need more horsepower. I agree. Yeah, we'll horsepower, at least more horsepower. But I just don't see NASCAR adding horsepower because they're trying to cut costs. And I get it, but you're taking away what makes the cars competitive. I don't It's too easy to control. The shifting, especially, like, I don't know how many times Denny said it. Whenever it comes time, you lose anything, you downshift, you're right back.
Yeah.
Just there's
I,
no.
I witnessed I witnessed that a couple times in the race yesterday, how guys would just overcook the turns and essentially wash up in the center of the turn, downshift it, and then diamond the corner and come back off and have a full run going towards the next turn. Like these guys, they just can just drive the dog shit out of them and just downshift and keep on going.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing to fix the short track package right now is horsepower. And Denny said it himself on his podcast today, is that NASCAR has pulled horsepower to save costs, like how you had said it too, but
Yeah.
they're not saving any cost.
Nope.
He said that you can talk to the engine builders and the engine programs. They're not saving any cost whatsoever. It does not matter. So why are we running less horsepower when it's a proven fact that when we had 900 horsepower and 900 plus horsepower, that these cars, the short track racing was the best. When you had 2 seconds of fall off on tire, that's what made the difference. I remember vividly, Dale Jr. won the fall race at Martinsville in 2014, and Tony Stewart had stayed out on the last caution. There was like a 5 or 6 lap run to the finish. Tony Stewart had stayed out on old tires. Junior started, I think it was like 5th, somewhere back there, because there are a bunch of guys that stayed out in front and stayed on those old tires.
Yeah.
In one lap, Dale Jr. went from 5th to 1st.
Because
now,
they had horsepower.
Now, same track, same pavement, same asphalt, no changes. It has not been repaved. Same track. Nobody has to pit. Tires don't make a difference.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's like, you get to the end of the race, you just stay out. Don't worry about coming ahead. The only person that really moved up, horsepower is all tuning. They have 250 to 300 in the bag. They would be allowed. I think you need to run. I mean, honestly, I would say throw 1,000 horsepower at it and just go.
I think it's more than just tuning. I don't want to keep alluding to Denny Hamlin, but his podcast was fantastic this weekend. He had specifically said that Jeff Andrews from Hendrick Motorsports said this weekend that if we need to add horsepower to the cars, it's going to take 8 to 12 months for that to happen, because the engine program has to be changed, because the internals of these engines are now supposedly not being made to hold up to 900 horsepower or 900 plus horsepower. So they have to get different parts for the internals of these engines, and they don't have parts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're changing out different types of rods, different types of everything. I mean,
I know it has a spacer. I know they're running tapered spacers to achieve 650 horsepower is what they're running, I think, right now. So I know they run a taper spacer for that. Yeah, you can put a bigger spacer on it and get more horsepower like that, but are you going to sacrifice durability of the engine? So I don't know.
To make it reliable, I think they have to redo. At least you got to do. I mean, you're looking at probably different pistons, rods. I think the crank should be able to hold it. I don't think they have to replace that. But then you're looking at a whole new type. Like the heads would probably have to be completely redesigned.
I don't think so. I think it's part tuning and part internals, but I feel like that there is enough pushback now from a lot of the drivers about this horsepower situation that maybe we will see something. I don't know, but NASCAR has got to know just how horrible of a race this was this last weekend.
I mean, they kept trying to talk about, there's 11 changes. There was 11 different lead changes. They were the most minute lead changes where it's literally like, he got a little bit, but then all of a sudden he charges back. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah. I'm sure that's part of it.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, like, it was not a competitive race. When you watched it, the only person that got competitive was through pit strategy was Martin Truex. Came from the back all day long. I had him in my fantasy. Somehow I ended up putting Buescher instead of Briscoe. And I don't know how I did that. And then I picked Denny to win and was going to change him for Byron, but for some reason my phone didn't save it. So I just got completely bushwhacked on my fantasy this week.
I had Hamlin, Truex. Hamlin Truex saved me towards the end of that. I had Byron, and I really thought Byron was going to be able to do something, but he kind of screwed me there. But again, I'm not putting it on him. It was just that track position thing. They got stuck back there, and he just never could do anything. So my fantasy got screwed. I had Chase Elliott in my garage. I actually started him, and I swapped him out for Truex when I saw that Chase was not making any ground whatsoever. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about the competition side. There were some comers, there were some goers. Truex was one of them. I mean, he started in the top 10, if not top 5, if I'm not mistaken. And he was up there for that first stage. Fifth. Yeah, so he was up there for that first stage, and I don't remember if it was in the first stage that he got that penalty and got towards the back, but of course he never was able to recover until the end of that race. Obviously, we talked about Joey Logano. He had to start at the rear. He never made any ground up. He was a lap down for most of the race. Obviously, they played that strategy that worked out well for him.
Now, imagine what could have changed if Logano ended up not getting the free pass. So let's say that Ryan Preece ended up lapping Ross before the end of stage 1, thus not giving Logano the lucky dog pass.
Yeah.
How much could that have changed the race? I really feel like Logano needs to thank Ross for once and go, hey, this could have changed it significantly, because you got to write really different strategies, unless he would have got the wave round, which I don't think he would have. But you never know with NASCAR.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I always think about some of those key turning points in a race, whether or not somebody gets lapped. Are you eating?
What?
I always think about those turning points in a race, how a car can get lapped and you'll never see them again, or they get lapped, or they were able to stay in front of the leader towards the end of a run like that, and completely saves their race. Even getting the lucky dog. So I know he would.
He would eat. Come on now. Is that a fat joke? I thought it's fat.
Yeah, it's a fat joke. It's not a joke. It's a fact. It's a fat fact.
I would give you the number one, just like our boy Sam. Sam ended up giving the nice little 2 thumbs up, 2 number ones to Truex in the Xfinity race. That was pretty funny.
Got a visitor.
I'm not gonna lie. She can smell it.
Got a visitor. I think she can smell the food.
She can smell the food.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
So again, we had comers and goers.
It's too far.
What the fuck are you doing? We had some comers or goers. I don't want to. I gotta brag on my boy. He started 17th, and I know that there's a lot of people like, oh, Larson won. Oh my gosh, Larson won. He kind of got into a win, whatever. But he started 17th. He made a lot of ground early in that first stage. He finished in the top 10 in the first stage. He finished in the top 10 in the second stage, and he ran about 5th or 6th the entire race or so. So I'm a little shocked that he did win, because Larson sucks Martinsville.
Yeah, that's not a track that he's known for.
Yeah. I was actually reading some of the replies on Twitter. Apparently, Josh Wise, I don't know if you remember him from NASCAR, but he ran the Cup Series for a while, but now he's a personal trainer for a lot of the drivers. And evidently, Kyle has been working with Josh for quite a while, even back in the Ganassi days. And Josh actually put a thread out on Twitter talking about how incredibly proud he was of Kyle, because when he started at Martinsville, obviously we know how bad he sucked. Yeah. He finished 2nd at Martinsville in the playoff race last year to Christopher Bell. Yeah. I kind of thought that was a little bit of a fluke, but Kyle has put a lot of work in. Josh said that he ran an iRacing sim session and ran over 500 laps just on iRacing recently to get his craft better. So you got to give it to these guys. You got to give it to Kyle, never giving up to make himself better. He knows where his weaknesses are. So I just got to brag on him a little bit there. I'm glad he got the win. I'm shocked that he got the win at Martinsville. I never thought he would have. Kind of like Blaney at Richmond. I don't think Blaney will ever win Richmond, but maybe one day he will.
Yeah, I mean, Blaney's not going to win anymore this year either. So
yeah, I don't know about Blaney, man. He's kind of fizzling out.
Yeah, he's kind of like a hairline receding.
Yeah.
You know, you got to also talk about when we were watching the race.
Nope, never.
We also
why don't you jump on the Logano bandwagon? I mean, maybe you can get some Hair Club points.
Hey, hairclub.com, man. That is one sponsor that is getting their money's worth. The dude came out with a full Rico Suave. I died laughing at the introductions. They showed just his hair, basically. Oh God, I was lying. I was dying.
It's hard to get used to that.
But no, I mean, overall, just a very boring race. There was not a lot of fun there. Larson did great. Congratulations on the win. 2 out of the last 3. Chevy continues pretty much his domination. Denny had a lot.
I want to stop you there because Chevy did not dominate this race.
They didn't dominate, but I'm talking about domination as far as wins.
Okay, yes, they got the wins. Let's 2 of their wins, particularly Larson's, have come kind of from late race restart strategy that has got them those wins. So again, it's not really domination. If you want to talk about who dominated this race, you can talk about the 2 Gibbs. Well, you can talk about Denny Hamlin and you can talk about the SHR cars. Let's go ahead and say all 4 of the Stewart-Haas cars were on point this weekend.
They were all in the top 5 at one point. I mean, it was insane. Yeah. They were doing really good. Stage 1 was all about Stewart-Haas. And for the most part, for the rest of the race, I mean, I'm not an Amarola fan. I don't really like him that much. But he stayed competitive all day long. At the end of the race, it was, a little bit of a fluke that he ended up as far back as he did. But Chase Briscoe, was right there. Kevin Harvick won stage 2. Congratulations. That was his first stage win since 2020. Really? That team was doing good. The fact that you got to see Harvick and them celebrate with Priest for him getting his first pole too. I mean, that was awesome. That's where you love the sportsmanship and the teams, because really, like a lot of people said, when you're a NASCAR team, you're not really a team. You're both individual racers, or you're all individual racers trying to win. So the team part.
Priest came back to top 15, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was making his way up to the front through the pit strategies and then restart strategies, because you could see that top line. I believe it was top line. Top line each time was just not taking off. Bottom line was the strong line. So he got 15th. He ended up
15th. So you had
Busha 14th.
Also, Brad Keselowski was quite surprising this weekend too. He was there in top 10 contention most of the race. He finished in 24th, but that's from a bad strategy call because he played that last pit run or so pretty late and got screwed by that caution for, was it the 78? The wheel that came off the 78, I think it was.
I believe it was 78 where the wheel came off and literally just stayed right there in the turn 1.
Which race control didn't even see it for a little bit.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah. When it another race control NASCAR fail. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, everybody in the stands is sitting there pointing, yelling, and finally they notice it. I mean, I get the tires right up against the wall, so they can't really see that part. But the fact that the car is not riding like it was just riding might have been a dead giveaway. As well as every fan in the world saw it. So how did NASCAR not see it?
I still can't believe that Joey Logano came home second.
I thought he was going to win at one point. He went from a lap.
I knew he wasn't going to win. But I thought Truex was probably – if Truex didn't have such a hard time getting past Logano, I feel like Truex probably could have given Kyle a run for his money because I believe Martin had 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, Kyle had 2. He was also the fastest car on the track. Yeah. From the time they came back from stage 2. So, he was out there, I think 5 to 10 laps more, he would have definitely ended up with the win there.
Briscoe finished 5th, good for him, with a broken finger, which he had surgery today. Everything went well, apparently. He also led 109 laps.
Yep.
So Briscoe is starting to show some speed here. Amarillo finished 6th.
Blaney 7th.
That's a pretty good finish for Eric.
Yeah.
You can't, Eric is one of those guys that always seems to find his way at the front of these type of style racetracks, these flat racetracks. When we get to New Hampshire later on this year, I wouldn't sleep on Eric on your fantasy picks because he's won there in the past, recently in the past, dominated the race essentially.
Yep.
So Eric is kind of one of those sleeper picks on these flat style tracks.
Yep.
Ricky Stenhouse, 8th place.
Bro, 2 top 10s back to back.
Yeah.
You win Daytona. Obviously, that's
carrying that momentum. That's fantastic for that team.
Exactly. He's right now showing that he can be a threat for the title. I know it's weird. You're talking about.
Well, no, I wouldn't say he's a threat for the title, but he's I would say he's a threat for the round of 12.
Definitely round of 12. I think he's got the chance to make it to the top 4 if he continues what he's doing right now.
I don't know about that.
I think so. I have faith in him.
As much as I would like to see it, I just don't know about that. Ryan Priest, we talked about him 15th. Austin Dillon, 12th. That's pretty good for Austin. RCR cars did not have a lot of speed this weekend. Kyle Busch actually finished 21st. That's a un-Kyle Busch-like day. Ty Gibbs, 18th. I know it's not a top 10 again, but Ty is secretly showing some speed. So I would give him another year or so, and we might be talking about him contention-wise for a win.
Possible.
Kevin Harvick rebounded 20th after his loose wheel that actually almost came off. Thank God it did not come off, or Rodney would be sitting out for 2 weeks.
Barely ever gets the people back.
William Byron, 23rd.
23rd.
Winner.
Yeah, not a great one for him. I mean, I really think.
And he only got 1 stage point. He finished 10th in the first stage.
Yeah, not a great weekend for him. He's been strong. I hope this isn't the Byron dip that
implosion.
Yeah, I really hope it's not because he was doing so well. I really think it's just this track. I honestly think that this is just a one-off. We'll be able to tell. I mean, we got Dega next week.
Right, Dega off. I mean, yeah, the Hendrick cars are probably going to have some straight line speed and probably qualify well.
Yeah.
As they typically do, but it's Dega. Anything can happen. My fantasy picks are going to be all over the place because I just don't know who to go with.
It's a hard one to try to pick because it's.
I do have one pick for the. I do have a pick for Dega when we get to that point.
Okay.
I have a good feeling who's going to win that race or be in contention. Ty Dillon, baby, 32nd.
30 behind Chase again. He was in front of Chase for all of 1 week. He got lucky enough to be 5 points ahead of Chase for 1 week, and then Chase came back, finished in the top 10. And that didn't last very long at all.
Todd Gilliland, can we give a shout out to him because there was a point there in the race that he was top 5.
Yeah,
very, very impressive. I know there was strategy involved with that, but who?
He was doing well at Bristol for a bit too.
Yeah.
I think he was top 5 in Bristol for a while.
Yeah. Zane Smith. I kept tabs on Zane during the that first stage. He actually stayed on the lead lap. At some point, he was up around the mid-20s. I don't know what happened there towards the end because it shows him being about 5 laps down. So, obviously, Rick Ware cars strike again.
He got one of the accidents, I want to say.
I don't know.
I don't remember. I was listening, so I didn't even get to watch the back end of it.
And then we had 10 lead changes the entire race between 9 drivers.
Yeah, just not worth it. Definitely not worth it. But all right,
so let's move on to this weekend. Talladega. Let's talk about our picks.
Who you got?
Well, we have 3 races this weekend.
We do.
We're not talking about ARCA. Fuck ARCA.
Or forever.
So Xfinity Cup Series, Xfinity race. I really don't know who to pick other than Austin Hill. That's kind of picking the low-hanging fruit there, but it is a super speedway race.
Yep.
Austin is the super speedway expert in the Xfinity series right now.
Yep.
So Austin Hill is a pretty safe pick in my opinion.
Austin Hill is definitely a safe pick. I'm going to go with Sheldon Creed. Just trying.
You're gonna pick him every week until he wins, aren't you?
Until he wins. Got to.
I said that about Allgaier though, so
yeah, true. I mean, I really do think Allgaier does have a chance, obviously, but I gotta say Sheldon Creed. He's got to get it. He's got to break through.
Yeah. Cup Series. I'll let you go. Who you got?
Zane.
Shut the fuck up.
Zane.
No.
Come on, why not?
Look, I know that especially at super speedway style races, you can get some guys that don't typically run up front.
Exactly.
And we saw that with Front Row in the past. But Rick Ware is at a whole nother level in the toilet, and I am not gonna ever consider Rick Ware winning a race.
Wait, I was doing trucks. Did you skip trucks picks completely?
Trucks aren't racing this weekend, are they?
Oh yeah, right. Trucks isn't this week. We got the article we're not talking about. I am so sorry. I apologize. No, so Cup Series. Damn. I don't know why in the world. I'm getting all my weekends mixed up together nowadays. Cup race, Talladega. Man, you're gonna have to go first.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go. I already had this picked out, but apparently Joseph agrees with me. Brad Keselowski is bringing home that W, his first win as a team owner this weekend. Write it down. Write it down. I'm telling you, Brad K, victory lane this weekend.
See, I was thinking Brad. Man, that takes that one out. I'm gonna go with.
You weren't thinking.
You know what?
Brad.
You know who I'm gonna pick? Ricky Stenhouse.
I like it.
I'm gonna pick Ricky. I really think. I mean, obviously he did well at Daytona. He's been on a hot streak, finished the top 10, 2 races back to back. Now we're going to a super speedway again. I'm gonna pick him. I'm gonna pick Ricky Stenhouse.
He's got the momentum. I am putting Ricky in my fantasy picks.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go with Ricky here.
I like it. I like Ricky.
Sure. We can't race trucks just so I can pick Zane for fun. Just asking for fun.
They're not racing.
They're not racing at all.
I don't.
Do you know it's only? I want to say it's only 8 weeks until playoffs for truck. 9 weeks until playoff starts for Truck Series.
9 weeks as far as races, not 9 actual weeks.
Yeah, not 9 actual weeks.
9 races. Let's make sure we clarify that.
That's what I use it because football and all that weeks and all that stuff. But
yeah, so
9 races left before it goes to playoffs.
The next race for the Truck Series is Kansas, May 6th. That is, wow, they have 2 weeks off.
2 weeks off.
Yeah. Well, so we got our picks in. You got anything else you want to discuss?
So for anyone that's still here, I do want to bring in one thing real quick. We haven't got our shop set up yet. We're working on some things. We haven't got the shop set up yet. But if you're still here, I want to show something real quick. These are our Founders Editions hats. As you can tell, got a few of them. And we don't have the shop set up yet. But these are $45 a piece. This is the only time that we're going to have these hats made. I think we got 11 of them. With one of them was a giveaway from one of our TikTok lives. So I think we have 9 left because I ended up buying another one for myself just because I got the signatures on my one that I had. So there's only going to be 9 of these for sale. I think we already have 2 spoken for, so we're down to 7 of these for sale realistically because I have a feeling I have an idea for another one already as well. But these will be $45. Send us a message. Send it to our business email, fascarliving@gmail.com, and we'll get you linked up, get you, to be able to pay, then we'll get it mailed out to you. Or you can send it through DM. Don't send it in TikTok. Don't send it in the YouTube comments or anything like that. Do like Instagram at least, because the TikTok's messages are really funky where it shows us sometimes, doesn't show us other times.
Well, Instagram's the same way. That's what I'm saying. Don't send it on Instagram either.
Yeah, just email us. Email is probably the best way. Fascarliving@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with a hat. This is going to be the only real run that we run of these. So this is the one time to get your Founders Edition hats, and then we will have by selling these, we're building up our stock to start our store. So that's what this is doing for us. If you help us with these hats, we will be able to get the store set up and be able to get some inventory in. Because I don't know if anyone's noticed, but Andy's wearing a certain kind of shirt over there, and it might be prelude to what we're trying to work on here. So please, if you feel so inclined, $45 plus shipping, we'll get them out to you.
Oh, we can arrange that.
I do have the man thong already made up. It's already ready. It's only 2 pieces of string, but I think it'll be all right.
It may be cheetah print too.
Yeah.
So we keep saying that we're working on it. Looks like Will got his, so there you go.
I got you this week.
Yeah. I think somebody else in the chat deserves one too that popped in here.
Andrew.
Yep.
Andrew. Yeah. Andrew, when we see you in Charlotte, make sure you come see us.
Yeah.
I'll wear
one for you.
The man thong's just for you, Will. I got you.
God almighty.
But yeah, we definitely got Andrew. He gave us some of his hats last year, so we got to definitely make sure we pay that forward.
Full Court Fuller.
Full Court Fuller. Make sure you check him out on Instagram as well. He's got TikTok where he does drink reviews. Cool dude. I mean, big NASCAR fan, moved down here, basically started fresh and does go-karts, photography. Really cool guy. Yep. But that's all I got.
That's all I got. Everybody, thank you for hanging with us, blowing up the chat, subscribing. Thank you so much. All your support means the world to us. And it's only a couple more weeks until we're at Darlington, baby.
Cannot wait. It is birthday weekend as well. So it will be a great time. Make sure y'all join us. Hit the subscribe. Go hit up the other socials.
I have a feeling that because it's our birthday weekend, somebody's going to be starfishing again. Not me. You.
Definitely going to be me.
Yeah.
I have the same inclination. I don't know. We might do a thing. I mean, that one live every 50,000. I chugged one. I have to probably do 100,000 because we got to get to 2 million likes. We've hit 1 million 3 times now. 3 times, crazy. But we got to hit 2 million in one actual one. So we'll see. We'll see what we can make happen there.
Can you hear my dog chewing through the floor right now?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, people, but
yeah, one of them farted a while back too. I just wasn't gonna say anything.
No, that was me.
Oh, gotcha. Makes sense now.
All right, I think it's time to end this. We're close to 50 minutes. We've gone off track. So again, thank you everybody. Subscribe to our socials. Until next time.
Till next time. See you.